Hey, what's going on guys? In this tutorial I'm going to walk you through how to use the painted Photoshop effect. So this Photoshop tool will automatically transform your photos into this kind of painted look. So let me show you a few more examples and then we'll jump into it. If you want to see more examples, just click on the first link below in the description, and yeah, I've got a bunch more examples there. Alright, let me close these down and let's get into it. So this is the photo I'm going to be using for this example. So when you've opened up your photo, the first thing you want to do is go to the window menu and click on actions. So this will bring up the actions panel. So from here we need to load the action that was included in the download. So if you click on this icon, select load actions, navigate to where you unzipped the file, and there will be this file here called painted by Sevenstyles.atn. Double click on that one and that will import the action here into the actions panel. Another way to load the action is just to go to File, Open, and navigate to where you unzipped the file and just double click on it there. Okay, so either way works. So when you've loaded up the action, the next thing we need to do is load up the brushes that were included in the download. Now the easiest way to do that again is just to go to File, Open, and there will be a folder here called brushes, and I've got in brackets here must be loaded into Photoshop. Go inside here, select the brushes, and now they are loaded up. If you want to check that they have loaded, hit B, right click anywhere over your photo, that will bring up the brushes panel, and there should be a folder here called painted brushes. If you twirl that open, you'll see all the brushes there. Okay. Now lastly, we need to load the patterns that were included in the download. So we use that same method of just going to File, Open, and navigate to the pattern folder here. Patterns must be loaded into Photoshop. Select that, and that is done. So everything is loaded, everything's ready to go. If you want to check the patterns there, you can go to Window, Patterns, and they will appear here inside this folder. Okay, now it's time to run the actions. So just click on this play icon here to bring open the actions panel. I'll go to Window, Actions, twirl open the Painted by Sevenstyles folder, and the action that you want to play is this one here. You don't need to touch any of these actions below these two lines. Okay, these are all used to actually build the effect. The smooth paint strokes action, we play that after we have created the painted look, and these are just some tips for you to refer to at any time. You select those and click play, and that will bring open the tips here. Okay, so for this to work, you just select the play action here and then click play. Now, as soon as you click play, you're going to get this message that's just reminding you to check the size of your photo. Okay, so if you click continue, it'll bring up the image size dialog box here. Now, what you want to do is just take the longest dimension. It'll either be the width or height. In my case, it's the width, and you want to scale this down to say anywhere between 3000 to 3500 pixels. So I'll just make mine 3100. You can, of course, make it bigger, but it will increase the playback time quite a lot. At this resolution, the action will take anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes to complete. So if you open up your photo and you want to say run it at 6000 pixels, that might take 10 to 15 minutes to play back. So a good size is anywhere between 3000 to 3500. Okay, now when you've done that, just click OK, and that's all you need to do. So the action will take around 5 to 10 minutes to complete. That will depend on the complexity of your photo, the amount of detail in your image. So let me just fast forward the video here and I'll get to the result. Okay, the action just finished and here's the result. So let's just collapse the actions panel for the moment. We'll come back soon to the smooth paint strokes action. I'll put time codes down below in the description so you can just click on those to jump around the video if you like. So just collapse that. And you'll notice that the layer that we have selected here is called Original Photo Details, and I've got it in brackets here, Brush Mask. So before we talk about what's going on here, what I might do is just collapse these folders. So you just hold down Control, Alt, or Command Option, and just click on this arrow here next to the Paint Splatter folder. Click on that, and everything's collapsed. It's just a bit neater to work with. So yeah, when you've run the action and it has finished, you'll notice that the mask on the original photo details layer is selected. And basically, what this is allowing you to quickly do is to click around your photo where you want to increase the level of detail. Okay, so if I just say click over these faces here, you'll see how that's bringing back more of the original detail. So if you've run the action, say on a portrait photo, and there are some textures distorted in the eyes or the mouth, you can just quickly brush into the mask of this layer here. Brush white, make sure white is the active color. By default, white is already selected for you when the action's finished, so you can just start brushing right away. You might not want to use this, but it's there for you, and it's also a good way to clean up little areas. So there might be, let's just say this black dot here, I can just click on there and that will clean that up. Up here, I can just, that's part of the original photo, so leave that. Maybe down here, I can get rid of that. So yeah, that's there for you. Now what this layer actually is, so if I turn this on and off, right, so you can see the only changes that it's made is the areas that we've brushed. But if I disable this mask, if I hold down Shift and click on this mask, what that'll do is temporarily hide the mask. So you can see that this is just pretty much your original photo with some sort of subtle painted effect applied to it. So it's good for, yeah, adding more detail back into your design if it's too textured in areas. Okay, there's a few areas that I still want to clean up here, so I'm just gonna select the mask again, make sure white is my active color because I want to reveal this layer. Switching it to black, you can just hit X on the keyboard, that'll flick between black and white. Brushing black will hide it, white will show it, so I'm just gonna brush a little bit here on the arms and up here. Okay, now if you want to access this brush at any time, just open up your brushes panel. So go to Window, Brushes, or just right click anywhere over your photo. What I might do, I might just detach this and drag this over here. So I can just click on that here. So if you open the brush, the painted brushes folder, it's the first brush here. Okay, so this is ideal for this effect to brush onto masks. Okay. The next folder we'll take a look at is this one here in purple called Paint Strokes, and I've got in brackets here Shuffle, Layers, and Folders inside. So let's twirl this open, and there's a bunch of layers and a bunch of folders in here, all color coded. So let's go through these one by one. So what I'll do, I'll just turn all these off, okay? And I'll just hide the original photo details that we brushed onto. And let's go through these purple ones first. So the way I've set this up is that from the top here, you get smaller strokes, and as you come down, they get bigger to the point where it should fill up most of your photo. Okay, now you can reshuffle these. So if I shift select number 3 and 4, I can just drag those to the top, and then you'll get a different look. Okay, you can grab these bigger paint strokes, you can bring those up higher, and you get a different look again. So this folder here, definition paint strokes in blue, if I turn this one on, you'll see that that adds a lot of definition into your photo, and you can drag this one up to the top if you like to sit on top of these random paint strokes here. Okay, now inside this folder there are just two layers, so you can either use both of them or just turn one of them off and you'll get a slightly different look there. This one here in orange, the swirl paint strokes, I'll turn this one on, okay, and I'll bring this to the top. You'll see it creates this kind of look. Okay, so the layers or folders that you bring to the top of the layer order will always be much more prominent. So for example, so if you wanted more definition in your photo, you would always drag this one to the top. Okay, and you can of course always control, you know, what areas you want. For example, these definition paint strokes to appear through the mask. You can see that on every layer and every folder there's a mask. This allows you to control where you want that layer or folder to be visible. So for example, in the top right hand corner here, okay, when I turn this off, maybe I prefer this look up here. So what I would do, I would select the mask, I would hit B, okay, or right click and grab this brush here, and I would switch this to black because I want to hide what's in this folder. Okay, and using the right square brackets, I can increase my brush size, and I'll just start brushing here, and that will then remove the definition from that corner. So this is where you really want to spend a bit of time experimenting by reordering these layers and folders. So this one here in grey, horizontal and vertical swipes, if I drag this to the top, you can see that it creates this kind of effect. So you might just want to bury these down a little bit so it sort of blends in a bit with the other layers. Okay, the vertical paint strokes, I'll bring this one up higher so you can see what that's doing. I'll bring this to the top so it's a bit more obvious. So you can see that look there. I've created two vertical paint stroke folders. The other one here is in green. Okay, so you can bring them both up higher if you like to create that kind of effect. Grunge textures, I'll bring this to the top so you can see what this is doing. So that creates that kind of effect. So again, like for this folder, you might want to be selective on, where you want this grungier type of look to appear. So if I wanted this grunginess just to appear in this area, okay, a quick way to do that is that I would select a mask and I would invert this mask from white to black. So you hit Control or Command I, so that'll just flip the colors. So now it's hidden. So now press B, grab the brush, hit X, flip that to white because I want to now reveal what's inside this folder, and then I'll start brushing here. Okay, so now I can be selective on really where I want that grunginess to appear. A few other things to keep in mind here is that there are, inside these folders, there are multiple layers, so you don't just have to move the entire folder around. I can grab some of these swirl strokes, okay, and then I can drag these up to the top, and then you'll get a different look again. Okay, so there's a lot of flexibility here to create a lot of different looks. Okay, I might just turn this one back on. What you can also do, if you like, is duplicate the layers. So let's just say I'm happy with what I see here, but I want to experiment a bit more. What I could do is just grab some layers, holding down Control or Command, I can select multiple layers, then holding down Alt or Option, drag them up, and that will then create duplicates of that, those two layers. Okay, so there's the before and after. I'm just undoing and redoing there. So maybe I prefer that look, so I can keep that, and then I could shuffle these two around, and further experiment. Okay, you can also, if you like, I've got this layer down the bottom here, original photo backing colors. If you wanted to create like a blend between what you see here and more of the original photo here, what you could do is just select the entire folder here and then drag this opacity down, and that will then slowly blend with more of the original look. So if you just wanted like a subtle painted effect, you might just want to leave it at 50%. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Next, let's take a look at these two folders here. So there is paint splatter and paint drips. So by default, they're turned off. So if I just turn on the visibility, you can see what that does there. Okay, and then you've got paint drips here. Now, if I go inside the paint drips folder, there's quite a lot here. There's 15, and by default, I've only got 4 turned on. So if I turn them all on, it's going to be far too much. But this just allows you to, just pick and choose which ones you want. Okay, and again, you can use the mask to control where you want those drips to appear, and you can also experiment with, turn on a few of these and then drag in this folder, in amongst these layers here. And if you hold down Control or Command and use the left and right square brackets, you can move it up and down the layer order. So what I like to do here is, while I'm doing that, while I'm moving them up and down, I'll just look at my painting and just see if there's a look that I like. Okay, and it might not be the entire area. Again, it might just be a little section. So I might like this little, this drips coming down in this corner. So what I would do, I would fill the mask in black. Okay, so select the mask here, and hitting X, make sure black is the foreground color. Now, to fill in a mask with the foreground color, you hold down Alt backspace or Option backspace. So that'll fill it, it's all hidden. Then I'll hit B, grab the mask brush. Again, you can just grab it here. X again, flip that to white because now I want to reveal it. And I'll just start brushing here. Okay. You can do the same with paint spot, of course. You can grab that and then bring this down, and then you get more of a subtle look there. Okay, for now I might just turn that one off, and I'll just turn the drips off. So let's take a look at these 3 layers here in red. So these are layers that you can use again to just quickly enhance the definition in your painting. So for example, this one here, if I turn this one on, okay, what this does, it sort of overlays more of the original details of your photo. And I've got in brackets here opacity, just remind you to experiment with the layer through its opacity. So you can see I've got it set to 100. So if I click and drag that to 0 and then to 100, you can see what that's doing in the painting. Okay, so that's just a quick way to increase the definition. You can also turn this one on. Okay, this one targets more of the original highlights in your photo. So if they're missing and you want to add them back in, you can just turn that one on. Okay, and this one you can just experiment with. It just adds a bit more contrast from the original details of your photo. So if you combine all three, you get that kind of look. So just experiment with those. The next two layers up here are two adjustment layers that you can use to control some colors in your painting. So this one here, overall color saturation, if I turn that on and off, you can see that just by default I've just boosted the saturation in the colors. So if you just double click on this, you can see that I've increased the vibrance quite a lot and the saturation just a little. So you can increase that or decrease that. It's up to you. This one here, selective color changer. This is a fun adjustment layer to use because you can target different colors and basically adjust them. So for example, if I wanted to target the reds, okay, I can just click on this drop down here, select the reds, and then I can use this slider here and that will change the colors. Okay, so I could target the the yellows. You can see what that's doing. So experiment with that adjustment layer. This folder here, contrast adjustments. So I'll turn this on and off. You can see what that's doing. Now if you go inside here, there's a few different layers you can play around with. This top one here is your overall brightness. So if you want to quickly adjust the overall brightness, you can just use these handles here. Okay. Overall contrast, I've got in brackets here opacity, so you can see that I've set this to 25%. So if I drag this to 100%, then 0, you can see it's just a quick way to add some contrast into your painting. This one here, if you want to adjust the brightness of your highlights, all you need to do is adjust the opacity again. So looking at this area here and here, if I increase that to 100%, 0, you can see how that is targeting the brightest points in your painting and sort of crushing them down a bit. Let's have a look, might just boost it up a little bit. Shadow brightness, so this is a way to boost up your shadows. So again, you can increase the opacity here or decrease it. By default, I think I had it around 30%. And all these here are other ones you can just experiment with. So for example, these three here, you can just quickly grab them and increase or decrease the opacity there and see how that affects your painting. Okay, I try to find a level that's going to give good default results across everyone's photos, but just you can experiment with these. You can go a bit further and double click on these curves adjustment layers and then play around with these handles here. Okay, and basically the way these work is that this bottom left hand corner are your shadows and these are your highlights up the top right hand corner. So if I wanted to boost up the brightness of the shadows, I would drag this one up. Okay. Alright, so that is the contrast adjustments folder. Now this last one at the top here is called the bump texture overlay. If I turn that one on and off, okay, you won't notice much of a difference there. It makes it a little bit darker. But if I zoom all the way in here, holding down Control Alt or Command Option 0, I can fly it all the way in. So if I look up here and I turn this on and off, you can see that it's overlaying this texture. So I might just create a white layer below here. So to create a new layer, is Control Shift N or Command Shift N. Okay, and I'll fill this in white. So you can see the texture there, turn it on and off. Alright, so this just sits on top. Zoom out a bit. That just sits on top of your painting. Just adds a little bit more realism, I think. Okay, so that is the layer structure. So what we might do now is twirl back open the actions panel, and we're going to play this action here called smooth paint strokes. Okay, so you just need to select it, click play. You'll get this message here. It's just telling you what this action does. So all you need to do is click continue, right? And I'll just hide the actions panel. So what it's done is created a empty layer up the top here called smooth paint strokes, and you can see we've got this brush that's automatically selected. So once you start brushing, you'll see what this is doing. It is smoothing out the textures. So you can brush around your painting to add additional paint strokes, but these paint strokes create a smoothing effect. So, if there are areas that you feel are too textured, you want to smooth them out. So let's just say all down the bottom here, if I want to quickly smooth out all this, and adjust the angle of your brush strokes, I can smooth all that out. Okay. And maybe there's areas where you want to leave a bit more texture. You avoid those, and yeah, be creative with your paint strokes. Okay, so very simple to use. Now the brush that it is grabbing is the second one here. So if you accidentally select another brush and you want to get this brush back, select this one. Okay, then select the smooth paint strokes layer, then start brushing again. Okay. Now it's important that this layer is always at the top of the layer stack, okay? It gets a bit buggy when you put it below. So for example, if I put it below the bump texture, okay, now I start brushing again, you said it goes black, okay? So make sure it's always at the top, right? And the way this works is that it basically looks at all the layers below, and it will smudge out those pixels. So if you can remember, it created an empty layer, but now if I isolate the visibility of this layer by holding down Alt or Option and clicking on the eye icon, you can see there the paint strokes that it's added. Okay. Now when I've finished brushing, right, so you brushed away, you like what you got, what I like to excuse me, what I like to do is drag this below the bump texture overlay layer, because what that does, it then this texture then sits on top of our paint strokes, so it blends a bit better with our painting and just adds a bit more to the realism. But only drag it below once you've finished painting, all right? But at any time, if you want to create an additional layer, you can just play the action again, okay? And it will create another smooth paint strokes layer, and then you can start brushing again, okay? So it's that easy. Okay, so let's say you're happy with your painting and you want to add some finishing touches. Maybe you want to add a bit of sharpening, experiment a bit more with some colors and some contrast. What I like to do is use the camera raw filter here. So what you need to do is you need to merge everything that you see onto one layer. So what you need to do is select the top visible layer. Okay, so in this case it's the smooth paint strokes. Now if this was turned off, I'll need to select this one. Okay, the top visible layer. And then you want to hold down Control Shift Alt E or Command Shift Option E. And what that'll do, that'll merge our entire painting onto one layer. So now if I move this layer around, you can see it's moving the entire image. Okay. Now what you want to do next is right click and go Convert to Smart Object. Now what this will allow us to do is that after we've made changes using the camera raw filter, it allows us to re-edit those changes quickly. So for example, let's go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter. Okay, open up this window here. Alright, now there's a bunch of different things we can do in here, but what I like to do is basically just experiment with these here. So if you wanted to add a bit more clarity to your painting, you can use this handle here. So if I drag this to the right, you can see what that's doing. Drag it to the left, creates that kind of effect. So I usually like to add just a little bit of clarity. Okay, helps the textures pop a bit more. You can use this texture slider here. If I increase that to the right, you see that. There's the left. So it works kind of similar to the clarity, but help bring out a bit more detail in the textures. All right, you've got vibrance and saturation here. If you want to experiment a bit more with color saturation, you can use those. These handles here are great for controlling contrast. So let's just say I want to brighten up the shadows a bit more. I can do that. I can target the whites here. I can bring those down. And what I like to do is just look at my painting while I'm wiggling these handles, and you kind of get to a level that you're happy with. So I'll just go up one by one. Okay. The contrast slider here. Let's just say I'm happy with that. Now you can click on this icon here to browse some color presets. So you can see you've got these these sections here. So artistic, if I just hover over these, you can see that's adding some color options. So these are here for you to, that one's pretty nice. And what you can do is that once you select it, you've got this amount slider here. So if I drag this to the left, this was before adding modern 06, but you can just, you can increase that to add just a little bit of that color preset if you want. You can add a lot or just a little. All right. So I'll click close when I'm done. And then I like to head to this end one here called presets. And there's some more sort of color options you can experiment with. But down the bottom here, I like to just add, maybe just a little bit of sharpening. And then you've got vignetting here. So you can add like a strong vignette or a light one. Might just add a light one here. And I'll click OK. And then you can see if I turn this now on and off, you can see the before and after. Now sometimes you might not want, I like to experiment with like a blend between what we had here and now the changes that I made to the camera roll filter. So I'll just adjust the opacity here just a bit, just get to something, to a level that you like. Now because we convert this to a smart object, you can just double click on this camera raw filter, smart filter here, double click. Now that'll reopen camera raw, and let's just say, okay, I didn't really like that 106 preset. So I'll just go into there and just drag that down. Maybe I want to increase the whites a bit more. Okay, so I'll do that. And I'll click OK, and then that'll update again. Okay, so that covers everything. Now, if you wanted to run the action again on the same photo for whatever reason, you would need to close down your Photoshop document, then reopen the photo again, okay? If you just shift select these layers and delete them, then run the action again, you're gonna run into an error, okay? So it's important that you close it down, then reopen it, okay? And one thing I forgot to mention at the start of the video is that you can't rename this folder here, okay? If you rename this, the action won't work at all. So I'll put a link down to this photo below if you have downloaded the painted Photoshop effect and want to follow along. I'll also put time codes below, as well as links to other Photoshop effects that you might be interested in. But I hope you have fun using the painted Photoshop effect. Thanks.